Meanwhile, in our next story, Mexico has found itself in a geopolitical crossfire. It is caught between the United States and China, and today, Mexico made its position clear. It wants to deepen ties with both Washington and Beijing. That's what Foreign Minister Marcelo Ebrard said. He was in China for annual diplomatic talks. He met with Chinese officials and state media. And after these meetings, he gave an interview. Let me tell you what he said. The relationship between Mexico and the U.S. is strategic and deep. At the same time, the relationship between Mexico and China is of great importance for us. Our policy is based on not aligning with any power, bloc, or alliance. We want good relations with all countries. And that's the key. He did not mention Russia, but Russia, too, is a major player in the standoff. So how should we read this statement? How should we read Mexico's policy? First, it is rooted in non-alignment. Mexico does not want to be a part of any Cold War 2.0. It wants to be friends with everyone. That's what they're saying, at least. Second, it's about economics. Mexico needs investments and trade. It needs jobs and growth. For that, it needs the U.S., it needs China, and it needs everyone else. In fact, during the pandemic, Mexico never closed its border. It kept its airport open. It welcomed international flights even when many countries were not doing so. Think about it. What does that tell you? A country that keeps its airport open during a pandemic is desperate for business. The message from Mexico to the world is very clear. Keep flying to Mexico. We need your money. Now look at their biggest trading partners, the United States, China, and Canada. The U.S. is by far their largest trading partner. Total bilateral trade is worth more than $360 billion. In 2021, Mexico's exports to the U.S. were $390 billion. Imports were $266 billion. So the trade deficit is around $124 billion. That's according to the U.S. data. Now compare that with China. Bilateral trade is less than $100 billion. China's exports to Mexico are around $50 billion, imports are around $47 billion. So the trade deficit is around $3 billion. And what about Russia? Well, their trade is less than $3 billion. So you get the point. The numbers speak for themselves. And for Mexico, the U.S. is an indispensable market. America is important, but America is critical. So will Mexico sacrifice its ties with the U.S. for China? Will it pick sides? I don't think so. First, the U.S. is a long-standing partner. Washington is also a major investor in Mexico. Nearly 8,000 American companies have a presence there. They've invested more than $10 billion in the Mexican economy. So if Mexico upsets Washington, investments could suffer. American money could leave the country. Secondly, the political cost will be too high. So imagine what would happen if Mexico sided with China. Hundreds of thousands of Mexicans living in America would be in trouble. They could face deportation. Their families would be torn apart. So the political cost is immense, not to mention Mexico's domestic politics. The ruling party has its roots in the U.S. The current president is seen as pro-America. His predecessor was also in favor of closer ties with the U.S., so don't expect any shift in policy. Having said that, Mexico will continue to play hardball. It wants more trade from both sides. It wants more investments, more jobs. Whether it's the U.S. or China, both sides will have to give Mexico what it wants. If not, it could be costly for both Washington and Beijing. Both the U.S. and China are losing influence in Latin America. They're losing to Russia. Moscow is making inroads in the region. Earlier this year, it organized a regional summit. All the top leaders attended it. Vladimir Putin was supposed to go to Cuba in March. That trip was canceled because of the pandemic. But later that month, he addressed the community of Latin American and Caribbean states. This is an important group. It includes 33 nations. So when Putin addressed them, when he spoke to that group, he got their attention. He promised support to Latin America. Those words were music to the Cuban leadership. Theirs is a crumbling economy. They desperately need foreign investment and trade. The same goes for Venezuela. Its economy has been battered by U.S. sanctions. Its oil production is down to 700,000 barrels per day. At its peak, it was producing 3 million barrels per day. So if Maduro can get some reprieve, if he can get some much-needed investments, you can be sure that Russia will deliver.
Oh,
The point is Mexico won't side with either superpower. It will play both sides. At the same time, it will extract concessions from both sides. That's the strategy of this government and the future strategy of this government.